I want to do a really quick video on strategies for dealing with COVID-19 for retail businesses. We are considered an essential business, but there gets a point where there's like a crossing point where if no customers are coming in, it doesn't matter if you're open, all you're doing is accelerating your losses. The labor is the variable that affects that because other expenses, your utilities are reoccurring, your rent is reoccurring, and some of the other reoccurring, like you can shut a bunch of your expenses off, but there are some that are reoccurring. But for the most part, the variable expense that can be controlled is labor, and that's the toughest one. We just saw 6 million people sign up for unemployment, and it's awful to see. And so we haven't let a single person go yet. I say yet because we don't know what's going to happen in the next few months. If things escalate, if Boris Johnson over in the UK dies, how is that going to affect the market? Is that going to turn everything into a tailspin? Like, things have been relatively, we've gone down 50% in revenue. Basically 50% is a pretty good number. And ways that we've dealt with it have been dealing with some of those expenses that we can just kind of shut off. Some of the things that, like, we're waiting room expenses, we're not allowing anyone in the waiting room. We're making customers stay in their cars. We have taken the initiatives that have been given, the guidance given by the CDC, and just followed that for essential businesses. I've doubled my ad spend on Facebook, which I've been reading article after article. Facebook ads are drying up. No one's spending any money. Everyone's sitting on their cash. Everybody's sitting at home on their phone. This is probably the best time to do some brand building, some storytelling on Facebook and Instagram, because their phone usage has gone up dramatically. And if you can get in front of them during this time period and then make it out the other end of it, obviously if you go out of business during this period, that won't matter. But if you can do some really serious brand building and storytelling during this period, you're going to come out the other side in a better position than your competitors. A lot of people are just getting really tight with their money right now. They're sitting on it. This is probably the best time to do some aggressive marketing. And, for my business, which is an interval-based business, it is important to keep the interval as close to normal as possible. There's going to be two problems involved with this. A lot of my competitors are closing up and letting their whole staff go, paying zero in labor, paying zero in some of those expenses that they can shut off, and then paying minimal utilities and then rent. That is a strategy. There's plenty of businesses, the essential businesses, that have just closed because there is that period where it's more expensive to stay open. For me, it's been super important to keep the interval as close to normal as possible because we have that second wave of problems for us that's going to come through 3 months from now, where someone who normally puts on 60 miles a day because of their commute has put on 0 miles a day because they've been at home for the past 3 weeks. They're not even going to need an oil change when this thing is over because they didn't drive. And so the oil change industry is going to feel this effect for quite some time. But driving the customers in with storytelling, driving the customers in with coupons, I've been criticized for running some ads during this period of time. But if we can provide a service that gets you out of your house in a safe manner, using signs, holding up signs, you stay in your car. This virus cannot be transmitted through a window. It cannot be transmitted through a vehicle. If you stay in your vehicle and your windows are up, it doesn't matter if everyone in the room has COVID-19. If you're inside the vehicle, can't get in. So we've done some procedures that have allowed contactless payments, contactless messaging, contactless invoicing, contactless basically everything, which has allowed us to stay open and running at normal capacity. Some stores worse than others, obviously, but we've tried as best as possible to keep this situation as close to normal as possible so that when things do turn off and we do start getting the influx of customers coming back in and people are allowed out of their houses, we'll be well positioned to deal with that interval disruption. Not only that, by staying open, you know, a lot of the competitors who closed, you know, you have to remember that the oil change business is much like getting your hair cut. You find someone that does it the way that you want it done. You stick to them until they do something to lose you. And so we're pulling new customers every day by default that are just like, yeah, I went to so-and-so Quick Lube for 10 years, but they were closed. You guys, I never even knew you existed. I didn't know you were around. I've heard about you, but I've never tried you. And then, you know, if you have the best service, if you have the best products and the best service, then you're going to retain those customers. This is an opportunity to do that. So I think we're going to come out the other end of this pretty good. But I mean, only time will tell, because if this thing goes on for a while, then every prediction, every estimate's out the window. I mean, look at the experts. You know, there was one, I remember I saw one world-renowned epidemiologist who said that on March 20th, there'd be 100,000 Americans dead. And that was, you know, 17 days ago. So, and it's tough. It's tough. Predictions are not always the best idea, because you lose credibility when you're wrong, even if your message is right. But as far as the business goes, you know, I really think there's some opportunities. You know, we've put those procedures in place so that we can continue to operate and give people an opportunity to get out of their house, not drive their significant other crazy, put their kid in the car, run an important errand that needs to be done regardless, and then they, you know, that can help with your mental health as well. And so, and it's a double win for us, because we need the business, obviously. So that's where we stand right now. If you have any questions or anything, just hit me up on Twitter, DM me, Costa Capo, or email me, costa@costaoils.com. You know, there's a lot of stuff in the works right now. Feel free to have one-on-one. I do a lot of one-on-one interactions on Twitter with people who are following what's going on, and I'm looking forward to hear from you.